Hi, back for another 15-minute video. Hopefully we can summarize this very quickly. And this is about the court case going on in the heavens. Now today I was given a word, and I'm going to share that with you, and then we're going to link that to what seems to be going on in heaven. And the word I was given was 791. Let me see here. It's Hebrew 791, and it means a juror. A-D-J-U-R-E-R. I had to look up the meaning because I wasn't 100% sure. It's actually a name. It gives it as a masculine name, but it means supposedly a juror. So I had to look that word up, and the definition of a juror is it means to command or enjoin solemnly as under oath, adjuring her in the name of God to declare the truth. Okay? So it means that you're under oath to speak the truth. Alright? Now along with that, I was given another word. And the word that I was given was requital. Alright? And that word is Hebrew number 7966. And it actually took me to the year of recompense for what went on with the daughter Sion, which was man's rejection of her covenant, really, her law. So in Isaiah 34, verse 8, we're told precisely what the day of the Lord is concerning. And we are all a part of this, because this is what man did to God's covenant. He divided it. He made it into two. And that means the woman who represented the pleasant land. Now she permitted it, alright? And this is why we're told she permitted it. Now first I'm going to read this verse in Isaiah 34, it's verse 8. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. Now the word requital comes up here in your Strong's, which is 7966. Which is going to take you to Isaiah 34:8 in its recompense, which means a requital. So what's the definition of requital? Definition of requital: the act of requiting, a return or reward for service, kindness, a retaliation for a wrong or injury, something given or done as repayment, reward, or punishment. Alright, so I'm being told that I was put under oath to tell the truth in my findings. And I've also been told that Israel has been given, I guess the proper terminology would be a requital. Now, watch how Mother does this, because the word entrapment is actually going to come into the study here in a minute, okay? I'm going to check to see where I am on my time. Okay, so what we're going to look at is this passage. Is very little passage. Oh, see, I just lost it. Why did that do that? It's in Ezekiel 17, yeah, verse 20. And it says, I will spread my net for him, and he will be caught in my snare. I will bring him to Babylon and execute judgment on him there, because he was unfaithful to me. Unfaithful there means in the marriage covenant between the man and the woman. And what Adam actually did in the very beginning was he perjured himself when he pointed at his wife and blamed her for everything. Alright? And I'm not going to go into all the explanations for this because I've already done that. But he's in the beginning. Alright, we're going to go into the definition of perjury first. Okay? So perjury is the intentional act of swearing a false oath or falsifying an affirmation to tell the truth, whether spoken or in writing, concerning matters material to an official proceeding. Now, this is what he did. He actually perjured himself. And the daughter Sion was told by Mother God, she says, no, we're going to let him do what he wants to do. And the reason why we know that she told this to the daughter Sion herself is because of the passage that we find in Zechariah 11. And this is what she was told to do. She says, no, they don't want you in covenant, my dear. Alright? They don't want your laws, which they're calling a snare on their neck. They don't want your words of truth from me. So they're rejecting me, really, she says. She says, I want you to break your covenant with them. And I want you to do it in such a way that they understand you're breaking their covenant with them. So this is what she's told to do in Zechariah 7. She was told to take a staff. Alright? This is what she says. For verse 6 of Zechariah 11, for I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, saith the Lord. But lo, I will deliver the men every one into his neighbor's hands, and into the hand of his king, that he wants to rule over him. And they shall smite the land, and out of their hand I will not deliver them. Now she's also told in this chapter to break her covenant with the daughters of Zion, which was considered her personal inheritance. And the reason why they're called her personal inheritance is because she taught them the laws of heaven, and these daughters would then go out and teach them to the men of the land and to the women of the land. This is what they would do. So verse 7, and I will feed the flock of the slaughter, even you, O poor of the flock. And I took unto me 2 staffs, the one I called Beauty, she wrote her name on it. She was told by God to write her name on it. And the other I called Bent. That's her inheritance from every tribe out of the nation of Israel. And she had 12,000, what it looks like. And they were considered hers to put her spirit into. That means the teachings of heaven, of Mother God, which is her laws, which then becomes the commandments that our world was supposed to be founded upon. They were not, because man rejected the covenant with her, all right, and her bands. And so what she's told to do is intentional. She says, go take these 2 staffs, one with your name and one with your inheritance name, and break them in front of the people. And the daughters in particular took this to heart. They really looked upon it, and they knew what was going on according to it. Now, what from my understanding is from reading this chapter, right? Let me go up and read just exactly what it means, because it tells us here. So it says, and I took my staff, even Beauty, and I cut it asunder, that I might break my covenant which I had made with all the people. Now she was instructed by Mother God, and that was Mother God's spirit upon her, telling her, take your staff and break it in front of the people so that they understand what's going on. Then she says, let them have the devices of a wicked shepherd. This is what they want. They don't want your teachings. They don't want my teachings, Mother God's teachings. They want their own. But this is what this led to. You see, it was an entrapment. And it's legal, according to the laws of heaven, I believe. Entrapment is a practice whereby a law enforcement agent or agent of the state induces a person to commit a crime that the person would have otherwise been unlikely or unwilling to commit. So she says, fine, let them have their covenant. Let them do what they will. Break your covenant with them. Let them have the devices of a wicked shepherd. And pick up the teachings that they want you to pick up. The daughters pick them up. Let them go out and teach it to the children, and let him have his way. But this is why she was told to do this. I will spread my net for him, and he will be caught in my snare. I will bring him to Babylon and execute judgment on him there, because he was unfaithful to me, to my covenant, wherein it is my daughters that gives you the laws and the commandments of heaven. It was never supposed to be a man, wherein woman comes under his laws. So then it begins to speak of the snare that he lays for her to fall into. He actually ends up falling into it himself. And that is this idea that man is over a woman, that he's the legal maker of the laws, and that the word don't come from the woman. And yet that's precisely we've come to understand, that he did reject the covenant with the righteous spirit, represented as these daughters of Zion. He did not want a covenant with her. They razed her to the ground. And it says it was because of his transgression that the real truth crumbled. And you find that reference in Daniel when the king is casting down the stars, the hosts of heaven. Those hosts were representative of the righteous daughters that came from heaven. The presence of God is feminine, not masculine. And she dwelt here amongst the men in covenant to give them this covenant of God, and they rejected it. All right? And Moses even says in Exodus 33, lest your presence or whatever goes ahead of us. We won't dare to do this. And God says, well, don't worry, my presence is with you. And what Mother God is speaking about there is her daughters who was indwelt by her spirit. She says, they're with you, they'll protect you. And that's what it means, the presence of God. In Job 31 attests to this truth as well. He says, I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a mate? Which is precisely what the first Adam did. He did not want the daughter Sion in covenant. He turned on her, even perjured himself on the witness stand. And he lied. He became known as Satan, the accuser. And he accused her falsely. But Mother says, let him do it, because in time he's going to be caught in his own snare, in the net that we're going to allow him to let. All right? And that's in view here. That's clearly what this is. And that's why entrapment figures in. And that's also why we end up with her saying in Psalm 50, she says this. She says, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. No, he spoke against his sister. He spoke against her. He pointed right at her and he said, well, Mother, it's that woman that you gave to be with me. And she sat there stunned. She didn't even know what to say. And that's when Mother steps in. She says, fine, he's breaking his covenant with you. He don't want you in covenant. Let him do it. Break your covenant so that they understand, all right, that you will no longer be his governing spirit. That the governing spirit will be of his choosing. And so that's why you have the abomination of desolation. A man inside of a man does not create a nation or a world of children. They have to come from the righteous spirit that gives life. That's why the spirit right now is trapped in a land not inhabited. The land not inhabited is this earth, and it's not inhabited because Mother don't see her children here. We're empty. All we have is a father. We don't have a mother that actually gives life to us. They teach a father and his children. A father does not give life to the children. And he has taught the children a lying theology that exalts a man over his own spirit, that he was supposed to receive the waters of God from his wife. And Job says, I made a covenant with mine eyes, why then should I think upon a maid? For what portion of God is there from above? The inheritance of the Almighty from on high. It was the daughters. That's what he was saying there. They are the presence of God here on earth. But man took that covenant and he twisted it. And that's why you have two women in allegory in Galatians 4. And we've spoke on that many times. But you see the connection between Satan, seer, which means a he-goat, which means leads you to demon, leads you to Satan, leads you to the he-goats, which Mother God refers to the false rulers of this world as he-goats. You see, the first Adam was built up on pride. He could not receive his doctrine or his truth from his wife. So he just said, fine, I'll make my own covenant. And that's why she says, fine, let him perjure himself. Let him entrap himself in his own snare. And he did. And what does it say in Psalm 57? Psalm 57 verse 6, it says, they spread a net for my feet. My soul was despondent, and they dug a pit before me, but they themselves have fallen into it. And they have. The nations have fallen into their own snare that they laid for her to fall into. And that means they're going to find it very difficult to receive the teachings from whom they were always intended to receive them from, which were the righteous daughters of Zion. And so I'm going to cut my video off there. I'll make another short one. I want to make one on the apostasy, the falling away, and what the truth on that clearly is shown to us once we understand this dividing of the woman of the pleasant land of Israel, the daughters in Israel, which according to this passage in Ezekiel was by intent. And so we're going to take a look at that on our next 15-minute video, and how it actually links to us divorcing fallen Adam's theology, which is the great falling away, they call it. well, they better get the right take on that. So thanks for watching my video, and I hope y'all have a really nice day.